Okay, well, how have you been?
I see you so often.
I know.
What I see, we saw each other Monday for the Bachelor finale.
We love The Bachelor.
Yes.
Okay, everyone, this is Ronni Brashear. I don't really know how to spell your last name. So, pronounce your last
Brashear. It's French. I know a lot of people say Brashear.
Yeah, that's
okay.
kind of what I was thinking.
I
So
know.
glad I didn't say that.
I'll respond to that too. It's okay.
Is it Veronica?
My real name is Veronica.
Veronica.
Ronnie's for short. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So Ronnie and we're newer friends. We met because we're both artists and we do live paintings at weddings. So I decided I wanted to start into the world of live paintings, and I started doing guest portraits, which I learned very quickly requires a lot better if you have people to help you. So if you can team up with another artist. So I went on Facebook and everywhere and all things and was trying to find other live painters, which there really aren't that many like in our area, especially ones who do the guest portraits. So that's how I reached out to Ronni. And at the time I was also working a full-time job. So we met and got coffee one night. Oh, I asked her to work a wedding with me. I was like, can you work any of these weddings for me? I had a bunch where I needed help. And there was one in Athens, so she said she could help me in Athens, and then she wanted to meet me in person. So, which is fair.
I was like, I think we should meet before we just show up for the first time at the wedding.
I was like, oh yeah, you can do it. Let's go.
Yeah, and we had to like see if we were, like compatible, or like partners for doing that, because it's so chaotic. A lot of people don't realize how chaotic it can get really quickly.
Yeah.
And so you have to like figure out literally the logistics of how we're gonna work the guest portraits together.
Right.
So
I was very naive and just thinking I could just walk in.
like,
I'm learning a lot as I go in along in this year. But anyways, so that's how we met. And honestly, at the time, I just thought, that I would just call her if I need help with art. And, it's nice to have a artist friend if I ever want to go outside and paint. I'm definitely going to call her. But I ended up getting laid off from my job. So then, because before that, I just felt like I have no time for friends, basically. So anyways, ended up getting laid off. And everything changed, obviously. I started applying to other jobs because I was like, well, I need another job. But then I realized I can just be an artist and just work for myself and do the wedding paintings and all that. So here we are now. I talk to Ronni a lot. Pretty much every day, at least.
I know we're
at least some texts. I don't know about her, but I don't know anyone else who doesn't have a full-time job. So we also just get together on a Tuesday and get coffee, and we can do that, and it's very nice. So
right. And I was gonna say, for your job, I remember us talking and trying to get together for the first time, and I really am so thankful that
I got laid off.
Not that you got laid off, but it's been so nice to have a friend that does this also full time. Yeah,
right.
I'm sorry you got laid off, but granted, she wasn't over the moon about
right,
your job
no.
anyway.
Yeah.
And it's been so refreshing and so nice to know that women can start from the bottom and gain your own art in all things, an art business.
Right.
So it's
so it just kind of all worked out. We're both artists, we both get along really well, and I don't know, we're just good friends now. So of course I asked her to be my first guest on this podcast. So now I'm gonna ask you some questions.
Oh gosh.
I really just want to know, because I don't actually know this. Remember, we're pretty new friends.
I'm scared.
Did you always want to be an artist?
I did. Since I was really young, I always painted and drew. My mom would just sit me in a room with a coloring book, and I would just be entertained for hours. And I remember I'm from Mississippi, and a travel location was New Orleans, so I kind of grew up going there and seeing
very
the artists.
artsy.
Yeah, on the side of the road, and the street artist. That sounded really mean. The side of the road artist. I saw
I get what you mean.
the lovely street artist, and I was like, you know, I would do that, like when I grow up. Even if
I want to be an artist on the side.
I would be an artist on the side of the road if I was still painting, because that's what I love so much. I remember having that thought and saying that literally out loud to my mom when I'm like, 10. I'm like, I'm gonna do that.
Yeah.
So I'm glad it, is a little more organized than that.
Right.
Say. I did not know I was going to do weddings. I mean, several years ago, I just had a friend that reached out to me and said, "Can you do this?" I'm like, and I'd already.
I'll see.
Yeah, I went to Mississippi State University and graduated in fine art painting, so I had a background in studying like how to do still lives and then landscapes and then also people. So it kind of combined all those skills together. So I was like, yeah, sure, I can do that. And then it went pretty well. And then I started doing a lot of family friends, like weddings. And then it kind of just snowballed into today.
I love that.
Yeah.
So when you went to college, you said, I'm going to be an art major. And that's what you did?
Have I not told you this story?
No. I want to know. Tell me.
Oh, gosh. So my first, my freshman year, I wanted to be a nutritionist.
Oh.
Or a dietitian.
Actually, first tell us, so what year is this? Like what?
I went to college in 2015.
Okay.
Graduated. Took 5 years to do my art degree.
Me too, girl. Don't worry.
2015. I went to a community college, actually, and that's kind of what messed up my 4-year rhythm.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, unfortunately. But no, my first year I wanted to do nutrition.
Okay.
And this is when I was kind of drinking a lot. And I had a nutrition class at like 8 in the morning on a freaking Monday or something.
You're like, can't do that.
And I was not, I guess, mentally prepared and prepping and studying as much as I should. I thought it would come easy to me just because I was interested in it.
I literally was the same way. I didn't set foot in the library my whole first semester. I was like, what?
Right.
What is that?
It's like, yeah, exactly. I was like,
dumb. Don't do that. Nah. If you're about to go to college, don't do that. It was very bad. I didn't regret it. I had a great time, but
I mean,
academically, it wasn't the best decision.
Freshman year is always like a little rough. I mean, I think you're prioritizing, social friends and like just the newness of it all.
I made the mistake of, obviously you don't know what you don't know, but I went to a private college. It was Mercer in Macon, and I was an engineering major. I said I wanted to be an architect. They didn't have that as an option to just like be an architect major, but they said, oh, you could be this like engineering thing and then you could maybe go into architecture. Like you could use this. So I was like, okay, I guess I'll do that.
What kind of engineering?
It was industrial engineering.
Oh my gosh.
Which is interesting because I think industrial engineering is actually, it's like a more not conceptual. Later, I met someone who was industrial engineer. Like they did that as their job, and I was like, oh my gosh, I used to be that major or whatever. And I was like, I know nothing about what it is. And they explained to me what they do. They said, oh yeah, we basically go into, like one of her clients was like UPS, and she would have to understand, like make things like more efficient basically, like through the employees. Like it was like a work structure thing.
So it's okay when you said conceptual, I see what you mean.
Yeah,
because I was like,
what? But like it kind of makes sense, I guess. Like if you're engineering like a company structure, but I don't know. Maybe it's like two different things, and I'm completely wrong.
You'd think they'd call it something.
It was super
not as concrete as in like engineer. You think of.
It's super weird that they told me to be that.
Yeah.
Anyways, my dad's engineer, and I kind of like I didn't mind like wanting to, like I was like I'll be an engineer or whatever. Like that wasn't. Hold on.
Coffee break.
That wasn't like so far out of my realm that I was like, what? But anyways, all that to say, as a freshman, I was having to take engineering classes because the way that structure was at that school, because they were private, they would do your like major classes first.
Right.
And when I ended up transferring to Georgia Southern, which is a public school, like they would do all the core classes freshman and sophomore year, and they were like way easier. And I just thought, why didn't I come here in the first place?
Yeah.
But anyway, so yeah, that was just like, that kind of wrecked me like as a freshman, having to take these like really hard math classes, and I don't even remember what else.
I don't know, like
it was just not
you
good.
must be very smart. Because
Well, I was in high school, and then when I got to that college, I was like, I don't feel very smart right now. But I guess I just didn't really apply myself. I was all about the social scene.
Yeah, I understand.
I really didn't care much about. Sorry, Mom. She's not gonna be happy when she hears that. But I don't think she'll be very shocked. But anyways, okay. So where were we? Okay, so you went into college. You were like nutritionist.
Okay, that was like one semester.
Okay, yeah.
It was like my first semester. I had to do all like the general classes. I take public speaking, art appreciation. I'm trying like what was the other one? Chemistry.
Yeah.
I take all these goofy classes.
You take a lot of chemistry for that.
For what?
For nutrition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's when I realized I was like, ew, I just like to talk about food.
Yeah.
Not the like breakdown
right.
of the chemical. I was like, okay.
Right.
I don't know. It just was not panning out. And then I was like, oh, and I think I made my first C. I was like an AB student in high school.
Yeah.
And I always knew that. I did have to try harder just because, I don't know. I guess I feel like I have a more creative mind.
Yeah.
It did take more effort for me to get better grades. And like my sister was so smart and she did freaking phenomenal and everything she barely like looked at. She'd ace everything, pissed me off. But must be nice to be naturally smart. Anyway, no, I got my first C in nutrition. Like, and that's what I wanted to major in. I was like, God wants me to be an artist.
Yeah, he did.
And I really believe that.
Yeah.
I mean, I really like decided on going to Mississippi State by praying about it. I was either going to go to Ole Miss or Southern. I was trying to like really decide, and then end up working out with my roommate situations. I had a friend of mine say, we really need another roommate. Please come. And I was like, God answered my prayers. Like, that's how
that's
quickly
cool.
I'm like swayed. I'm like, that was it. And so same thing with like the nutrition. I'm like, God,
this wasn't right. Yeah.
Yeah. So I switched to doing art classes, and I was like, this is where I'm supposed to be.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It took me a while to get there, but as soon as I set foot in the art school, I was just like, why?
Yeah.
Why did I wait so long? Where have I been?
Right.
I don't know.
It feels right.
Well, that's so cool. I just was curious because I know artists, we all have like a different path, and I never thought I would be an art major. Like I did not want that as a career. I didn't know it was possible to have that as a career.
Yeah.
I think that's really the thing. I would have always loved it. Like one thing I always think about is I don't ever remember saying like, oh, I want to be an artist one day, or I'm going to be a famous painter. Like I never really said that, but I remember, you remember the Game of Life? Like the board game?
I don't.
How you didn't play it?
Not often. I'm thinking of Monopoly. It's not it.
Okay, well in life, you would have to like pick a career. Like that was always like the first step basically. And I don't even remember how it works if you like just pick one or if they like draw a card for you. Mm-hmm. But I would like every single time be like the artist. Like it was like one of the options. And I just remember like I just wanted it every time, and there was nothing else. I'm like, I don't want the doctor. I don't want it. And so like that's like just very clear in my head when I think like what did I want to be when I grow up. But then as I got older, I guess I don't know. I was always very like technical as well, so I was like, oh, I'll just be an engineer.
Yeah.
That was not for me. Sorry, Dad.
Well, art, I mean, to be honest, growing up, there's not a lot, you don't see a lot of applicable like avenues for art. You either create your own studio work and hope you can sell it and make money, or that's it.
Yeah, like
there's
that.
Not.
Or you just work like a corporate job. Like what I kind of ended up doing was just saying, oh, I'll be like graphic designer.
Right.
Which is like if you want a corporate job and you're artsy, like that's what you do. What was I going to say? Oh yeah, even like as a professional art major, I feel like it wasn't like a clear path. Like this is what you're going to do when you graduate. Like I just don't feel like they really laid that out for us.
I so wish that in the art schools at like these universities, they offered like a business entrepreneurship course that strictly had to do with like
or
how
like
to make it in art.
Yeah, or like an apprenticeship or like internship with like a professional artist. Like somehow they could connect. I don't know. Maybe they do that now, but
yeah,
when I was in college, it was 2018. That was not an option.
Right.
Okay, so
oh gosh,
you graduated college, and then what?
So I graduated during COVID.
Okay.
Literally like May of 2020.
Dang.
Right when COVID was getting crazy.
Dang.
I didn't even have a formal graduation. My dad owns a restaurant in Jackson, Mississippi. And so literally we did a virtual graduation. And so I just had people come, like my friends and family come to the restaurant.
Oh, man.
And we watched my name scroll on the freaking TV.
Yeah.
And that's how I graduated college.
That's so like, I don't know. I feel like at the moment you're like, wow, I don't get a real graduation. But like looking back, do you think it was kind of cool? Not cool, but it's just more intimate.
It's definitely unique.
Yeah.
Something I'll never forget, and not a lot of people get to say. I don't know if that's a special thing or a goofy thing. I graduated in the year of COVID,
right,
when the world was shut down.
It's kind of like one of those things I always feel like I could be that girl who's like, I'm not even gonna walk. Like, I don't want to go. Like, I don't even care.
Yeah.
Because I mean, when you think about it, you're just sitting there for a long time, and then I don't know.
Yeah, I had.
To me, it's just like, okay, I have the degree. I don't really need.
Right.
But I get it. If you do care.
There was. I mean, I see both sides.
I guess you can't really say because you didn't get that.
I didn't get the option.
Sorry.
You could go like in the fall in the fall I could have gone back to college. I was already moved from Starkville to Jackson, which is like just 2 hours away. But yeah, if I really wanted to walk, I could have.
They gave you the option.
I don't think so. They sent me literally a mug in the mail with my diploma. They're like, congrats.
Oh, wow.
And that was it.
Interesting.
But,
okay, so you graduated?
So I graduated in May, and then I worked at my dad's restaurant for a couple months while I was looking for jobs. I was looking for jobs that had anything to do with like art related. I was specifically, obviously, looking for a painting job. Which I still am like, brings me back to what I said earlier, where there's not a lot of specific like painting jobs. So anyway, I was looking for a specific thing to actually use the skill that I have. I don't have a lot of skills.
Were you thinking like, I'll work for someone else and then I'll eventually do my own thing? Or were you just always...
I was trying to find a job in a city that had more opportunities in art. So I was trying to get my foot in the door.
New Orleans.
In a city.
Did you try that?
I did. I looked up jobs in New Orleans and like Austin, Texas, Nashville, Tennessee, like Tampa, Florida. Multiple just places like that. And then I got the job in Atlanta, and I kind of lied to them when I was applying.
Dude, you have to do that. I feel like there was actually a girl, we took like I think it was called like portfolio. It was like kind of like the business class that we would take, but it really wasn't business. It was just more of this is how you like apply to galleries and stuff. But she came and talked to us, and she's like, she had just graduated a couple years before, and she's like, the first job I got, I told them that I was like a muralist and I'd never done a mural before, but she's like, but I did it. And I think you just kind of have to do that because we know that we can learn it and figure it out. But okay. So anyways,
I told them that so my stepbrother lives here, and I was having I had a couple of job interviews here. And so I stayed with him. And then when I went to the interview, I told them that I lived in Mississippi, but I was planning on moving here soon.
Oh, okay.
That was a lie.
Oh, yeah. I think that's fine. I mean, I feel like it's not that much of a lie. You just had to find somewhere to live pretty quickly. Probably.
Yeah. So I was like, I'll move here in a couple weeks, like for sure. And then,
that's the plan.
And then a week later, I actually found out, like, I wasn't even checking my email regularly, or I had two different email accounts, and I think they were emailing me on the other account. So I really did not even check my email until my stepbrother called me, and it was a weird moment. My dad was standing in the room. I was on the phone with my stepbrother and literally checked the other email that I never checked. And I was like, oh my gosh, Chase, I got
the job.
And he was like, I don't know. It was a really sweet moment. And then it just clicked that I started in like 2 weeks.
Oh, no.
And I didn't have anywhere to live, and I didn't know anything about anything in Atlanta. And so it was literally like Thanksgiving week. And then my mom and I, so we had Thanksgiving Thursday, and then Saturday we were driving to Atlanta, quickly trying to find an apartment for me. And then I literally,
still like COVID, right?
Still COVID. These people were like being all wah about us touring, which I get it, but I was like, y'all, I have to have a place like literally in freaking week, in 1 week.
Oh my goodness.
And they were like, okay. And so I finally that's why I didn't have a lot of good research on where I lived.
Right. And you lived in Midtown.
Lived in Midtown.
Right. Okay.
Which it was fun for a little bit, but I'm just from Mississippi and appreciate nature and space.
Yeah.
And so
I don't have much of that in Midtown.
No. It was fun while it lasted. I was there for 2 years, but
you were there for 2 years. Oh wait, the job or the apartment?
I'm sorry, the apartment. Okay. Yes. So the job, I was there for a
Was the job also in Midtown?
It was in West Midtown.
Nice.
So I was like adding the like 3-dimensional like texture paste onto already prints that were from other artists.
Yeah.
So it kind of felt like a slap in the face.
So everyone, if you're at what is it, Home Goods, and you see art, it's not real. I feel like most people know that, but also I feel like I need to say that because some people do think
that it's original artwork.
I mean, some people might.
Don't know. I don't know, but
it obviously gets the job done. It looks nice, but I'm just gonna put that disclaimer out there because sometimes it looks like, oh, look, there's texture on it. No, it was printed on a machine, and then people like Ronni work for companies who literally go in and put texture on it.
Literally was making $12 an hour.
Oh my goodness.
Living in Midtown. Oh my gosh. And so I literally could not afford to live. And so I, thank God, started doing the live paintings on the side, and I was making more money doing that.
Oh, I'm sure.
And so I swear, I feel like I hit the live painting stuff like at the perfect time.
At the right time, yeah.
So, because there was a bunch of what am I trying to say? All of the weddings that were supposed to be held in 2020 got pushed to 21, 22.
Right.
So I was slammed in the fall of 21, which is when I, was deep in my job, and then started like dreading going to work. Unfortunately, you don't ever want to get to that point. Yeah. That's when you need to quit. When you start waking up and you're like, dang it.
Yeah. Or you find yourself like doing other things, like working on something else. Yeah. That's making you money while you're at this job.
I did that too, and they didn't like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's cool.
Yeah. So I was there for a year and a couple months, and they were trying to be nice. They knew my situation, and they really did like me as an employee because I did find work. It wasn't hard.
You did great embellishments.
Great embellishments. That's right.
But it sucks when you're sitting there and you're like, dude, I could paint this, or I could paint this really cool thing, and you're out here printing this.
Yeah, it felt like a slap in the face after coming from art school where we're taught to be original and come up with our own ideas, and then to literally start painting on someone else's like, prints.
Yeah.
You just, I don't know.
It's really, life as an artist is just hard, okay, guys? Just, there's so many things we could get into, and we're going to have multiple episodes with Ronni, so this is just like intro to Ronni. But I didn't really know much. I think I kind of knew that story, but I always am curious, if you want to be an artist, like ever since you were little, if you planned on having, like, being an art major, like how you ended up where you are now, basically. So ever since then, you've been doing the live wedding paintings.
Yes. So 2022 is when in February is when I quit the job I was at, and it like aligned perfectly. I was going on vacation with my family to like the beach. And I was like, I quit, and then immediately went to the beach and then started my business. It was like quite a fun little transition.
I kind of did that same thing too. Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, I had enough confidence in the fall of 21 with the weddings that I took the gamble when I didn't know. I mean, I didn't know for sure, but I was like, by God, I'd rather try to make this work than be miserable every day. So I did that, and it worked out. Like,
so,
thank God, every day.
Were there certain things that you were like, okay, I have to have X, Y, and Z before I quit my job? Like, what made you lead to that decision? Did you have like a chunk of money saved up? Did you have like a certain number of weddings booked? Or like, did you just kind of do it?
So,
because if you just did it, that's fine too. I'm just curious.
I grew up very fortunate. My family, I have a safety net.
Oh, that's good.
My family, they have enough money. I am very, like, I would say good with money. I save a lot, and I did have a good amount of weddings for the spring and the fall.
That's good.
I knew that money was going to come in. I knew I was okay if it didn't, and I knew that I had enough motivation and ambition that I was going to bend over backwards.
You're like, I'll make it work no matter what.
I mean, I was cold calling, or cold emailing venues, wedding coordinators when I moved to Atlanta, saying I offer these services. And I think I told you this, but I emailed the Park Tavern and the event coordinator. She happened to be getting married, and this was my very first wedding in Atlanta. I was able to do it at Park Tavern, so such a big venue. And then they put me on their like preferred vendor list and stuff. So I got very lucky.
That's awesome.
I
mean, but you worked hard, and it wasn't just luck.
Part of it, and also
you put yourself out there.
Yeah, and again, I also think this is very important. Like I was taught how to do the paintings. Like aside from like the work that I put in for the business aspect, like I truly spent and took my painting degree very seriously. Like, I worked very hard to be the art major that I was, and I took that seriously the whole time. So I did know the skill sets of how to like make the painting itself look accurate, and I think people obviously can hopefully see that.
You're amazing.
Yeah, well, thank you. I hope it comes through how much work I really did try in college. So
there's so many, like, I feel like we said, as an artist or as an art major in college, they don't teach you a lot of things about just like having your own art business. And I felt like the business side always just kind of came naturally to me, and it seems like that is how you are too.
You are the most ambitious woman I think I've ever met in my entire life. I literally met Reagan, and just every day, this was like a week ago, she voice messaged me, and she was like, I'm sorry, I just went on a tangent. She was like, oh my gosh, Ronni, I don't know about you, but when I'm on long road trips, I get all these ideas while I'm driving. And I can't wait to tell you all these brand new ideas I have. I was like, I don't have that.
Yeah.
And she was like, you're always so ambitious, and you have all these new ideas. Just like they just keep coming.
Yeah, they do.
That's amazing to me. You've blown me away with your ambition and new ideas and just innovative.
Sometimes it can be what do you call it? Heavy. It's like I have so many ideas, but I can't like do them all.
Well,
like it can be a burden.
Well, to
be so ambitious.
Well, you can always, I feel like there's always a sense of urgency, and we're still young, and we have no time to do it all. Just steps.
But what I was saying about it's okay. It's fine. I get what you mean, but I've learned that most people are not like, they don't just like know how to market themselves or how to, and I felt like I picked that up very naturally. And you seem like you said you were reaching out to venues and like doing all this, and I think that's another reason why we like get along so well, because we talk about, I don't know, like I've talked to other artists who they basically outsource all those things, which that's fine too. I mean, I probably should outsource a lot of things, but I don't have to. Like, I don't need someone to teach me how to do social media marketing or like do proposals and all that. And I learned a lot of that from my job too, from my jobs. But anyways, I just think that's like something that we have in common as well, is that we're both artistic, but we're also very like, we're salesmen and we're
I hear an Annie coming.
Annie,
Okay.
is that
Hey, Annie.
Annie, do you have anything to say?
I just wanted to scare Ronnie.
Oh my goodness. Okay, well,
Well, I will say,
Yeah.
I think a lot of my mindset about the business happened because of my dad. I watched
Right.
my dad. My dad's owned the restaurant.
that's what I was gonna say. Your dad owned his own business.
Yes, it's a seafood and steaks and seafood
Yeah,
restaurant.
I want to go
in
there one day.
Catherine Steakhouse in Ridgeland, Mississippi.
I need you to invite me there.
You need to. You can come to Mississippi anytime.
Seafood. Yeah. What?
It's so good.
Those
Be
are.
biased, but so no, he's had it for like 30 years.
Oh, that's awesome.
So I literally, since I grew up, literally being in that restaurant, it's like
Yeah.
my second home. I know all like the whole staff is literally like my
Right.
family. So I've been there. I just grew up at a bar, and
That's fun. So it's like bar vibes.
it's bar vibes, and also there's
like
a dining room side for my dad.
Oh.
He has a sense of humor. He likes to say it's the bar sides. It's the saints and the sinners. Like,
Hey, I like that.
yeah, I'm like, good
That's a
one,
fun
Dad.
place.
So, so I have seen my dad, and it used to not be as successful as it is now. Like the restaurant industry is very, very difficult to
Yeah,
maintain.
I'm sure.
But
Being an artist is hard, but owning a restaurant is probably harder.
Seen my dad like be on the phone with him when I was younger, and I would be like, "How much money did you make tonight?" Like, I don't know why I was such an inquisitive little kid. I'm like, money.
Are we rich?
Are we rich now? Like, but I got to see. Hey, Billy.
Hey, what's up?
Hello.
How far did you run today?
A little over 5.5.
Wow.
No, I got to see the progression of my dad's like mindset and the restaurant develop over 30 years.
Yeah.
I'm 27, but he taught me a lot about just stuff he would say in passing, like you got to spend money to make money.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
he would try all these different avenues of like restaurants. He tried to open up another restaurant in a different location, and that didn't work. And I'd watched him
Right.
make all of these decisions, and then like his mindset of bringing it all together, and then what his focus was on. He just has always been very just like, what am I trying to say? Someone I look up to when
Yeah.
to business. So
Yeah.
I will say I've seen it with my own eyes, and that's why I think
That's funny because that's like same for me. My dad did own a restaurant, but he has his own business. But he didn't always own his own business. I remember like when I was little, he worked for a larger company, and then he went out on his own. And then 2008 came, and the recession just kind of he had to stop. I know he ended up back on his own, and I think seeing him progress, I have a deep understanding of knowing that things don't just happen overnight. And I
Right.
know that, and that's a pretty big pillar because I feel like, in today's world, people think, oh, I'm just going to make one painting and sell it. And then I'm an artist and I can just have my own business. And it's just like, it just takes time.
Right.
So I think both of us understand that. And there's
Yeah.
another thing we have in common.
Yeah.
So that's really cool. So that's how you got to where you are now.
Yes.
Do you like living in Atlanta?
I like living where I live now. I wasn't again.
Oh, like a
wasn't-
suburb.
Yes, I
Yeah.
like this. I live in Roswell. Love Roswell. Again, I feel like I'm around nature more. I have more space. I feel a lot safer.
Right.
In Roswell rather than downtown, which I'm just a single woman, so
Yeah.
whatever.
I agree.
I will say, I mean, it was hard. I think anybody can understand moving like uprooting your whole entire life and just plopping into a new city is extremely challenging. I don't think I would ever be the same person. I've grown so much as a person,
Yeah.
and I would be completely different if I'd stayed in Jackson.
Yeah.
So I do recommend if anybody wants
You
to
need some
grow as a
growth.
person.
Yeah.
Yeah, just move to a new city where you don't know anybody, and
Right.
you'll have some some growth there. It's been very challenging to find new, like, good friends and community. It's like a whirlwind, and you just taking care of myself and just not having like a support system because you don't know anybody has been extremely challenging. But now after 3.5 years, I finally feel like stable. 3.5 years, I know. I'm so thankful. Like it's been
a journey.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. It's been a journey. So yes, I do love my life now. I feel very stable and happy. I have so many wonderful friends, including you.
Yeah.
That keep me grounded. Like, my friends are truly like my family at this point. So yeah, I do love where I live now.
That's good.
What about you?
I don't know.
Okay.
I mean, I like my life. I'm not, but do I like Atlanta exactly? I don't know. I've always thought I would live somewhere else. Like, I definitely don't know if I want to settle down here.
Mm-hmm.
But I just don't know. I'm closer to my like, I'm pretty close to my family. I'm an hour away from my parents, hour away from my brother. My brother's about to have a baby. Shout out. But I've always been like, I think it'd be so cool to live in like Washington State, you know, with all the nature and the.
That's fair.
But I don't know. I do like. I've said this to you outside of this podcast before, but I never really had like new like girlfriends that I made in Atlanta. I had a few, but they're like from college or from high school. But I feel like, you know, now I have you and like we have other friends that I'm just now meeting and stuff, and I really like that. And it's kind of swaying me a little bit to where I'm not like trying to move away right this second. But I don't know. I've been here for about 5 years, I think. So
yeah, like
it's not
closer
my favorite.
to Atlanta.
Yeah,
you're from Macon.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't know.
I know.
I don't have a really good answer, but I'm just kind of over it, I guess. Like, I like moving to new places. And
yeah, that's fair.
I did move to a suburb, like probably 45 minutes from downtown last year, and I did like that. It felt like a new world, even though it wasn't that far away.
Right.
More space, fresh air.
Yeah. My gosh.
Families.
Yeah.
It's like, wow, this is great.
Yeah.
All right. So I think I'm going to ask you one last question. But like I said, we'll have a part 2. Maybe part 3, part 4.
Okay.
So we'll get into deeper with Ronni.
Okay.
But for the last question of the day, what is advice that you would give your 18-year-old self? If you saw her standing here right now, what would you tell her?
I would tell her
don't be a nutrition major.
Don't be a nutrition major, number 1. Number 2, not to doubt herself as much as she did. I used to like I wasn't.
How old are you now? I don't think you ever said.
I'm 27.
Okay.
I think I grew up not being. I'm just gonna go deep.
This is a preview for going deeper with Ronni.
Being like validated in my experience. I thought I was crazy all the time. I was hanging out with people that I actually didn't enjoy being around, and then I thought like the dynamic that it was me and I was the problem. And I don't know, I just had a lot of I grew up very just hard on myself.
You put a little pressure on yourself.
Yeah.
A lot of pressure.
And I was just thought I was the crazy and I was the weird one when I literally was not just hanging out with the right people that loved me for being me.
Right.
And so I would say that, you know, to my 18-year-old self, like, it's not you. You need to find some better friends.
Yeah.
That is what I would say.
Well, that's great advice.
I think so.
Okay, well, Ronni, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being the first real guest.
I feel so honored.
I did do test interviews with Billy and Annie, but this is real.
Okay. I saw Annie on the Instagram or Snapchat yesterday.
Hopefully everything turns out right. This one here is getting, hold on. Hopefully we look good and we sound good and everything's fine. But, you know, if not, we're just rocking with it. So,
okay.
Thanks for being here, and we'll see you next time.
See you next time.
On the Tiny Couch.
Tiny Couch. Woo!